This is a review of the F1 Pro OLED, which I had for a few months. In the box, you get the manuals, you get the console, and you get the 65-watt charger with the USB-C cable. Now, this F1 Pro OLED has the 8840U CPU with the 780M iGPU, which is the exact same iGPU as the Rog LIX and the Lenovo Legion Go. This comes with a 7-inch OLED 1080p screen, 144 Hz with up to 800 nits brightness, 32 gigs of RAM and 2 terabytes of storage. You also get a 48.5 watt-hour battery. They do give you a nice case with this if you order from their website. It's a really nice case. It's not too big or bulky, which is what I really like. Fits in nice and tight. You get a USB-C, USB-A and 3.5mm port at the top. And you get another USB-C and a micro SD at the bottom. Pressing the turbo button opens the overlay, and I really like this overlay. You can control the TDP anywhere from 4 watts to a maximum of 30 watts. I usually keep it at around 15 to 17 as this is more than good enough for most titles. You can also control the fan mode. Now I usually have my own fan curve which I've set. This helps me reduce the fan noise, which I really hate. You've got a lot of other options here. You also have the option to turn turbo off, which I have and which I highly recommend, as it is not needed at all for most titles and can drain battery life, so I recommend you to turn this off. You've got loads of different options here, which I will have a look at in a bit. You have your volume and your brightness and your volume settings here, so you can turn it all the way up to 800 nits. And you can of course control the volume in here. Now what I want to show you guys is the gyroscope. So I've just turned it on, and as you can see, you can control the mouse with the gyro, and of course you'll be able to use the gyroscope in any game in this way. You also get performance overlay. So if you click on it, you'll be able to control the frame rate at lots of different frame rates. You can lock it at any frame rate you want. You can also have automatic TDP, and you also have different options for the FPS overlay. So I have currently turned the FPS overlay on, and as you can see at the top, it shows you all the different types of information. Holding the turbo button launches the Onexplayer software. Holding this keyboard button for a few seconds enters you into mouse mode, and you can control the mouse with the left joystick, which is not as precise as the Steam Deck or the Rog LIX, but at least you get the option, and you can just turn it off by holding it for a few seconds. When it comes to the controls, there are mixed feelings, because on one hand, I'm not a fan of the joysticks they have used in this F1 Pro. Although they are Hall effect, they are not full size. The buttons are quite nice. They're not that bad. The bottom button can bring the overlay and the keyboard, which is quite nice. And at the top, you get the triggers. These are analog triggers, and you get 2 linear ones. And next to the RB and LB, you get 2 extra buttons. If you double tap the right one, it will automatically open Steam Big Picture mode, which is almost like using Steam OS. Overall, I'm not a big fan of the controls on this F1 Pro OLED. I much prefer Steam Deck and ROG LIX. It is, on the other hand, very comfortable to use despite the small size of this console. The F1 Pro is quite portable. It's one of the smallest 7-inch devices you can get, and as you can see, it does fit into a big pocket like this. The screen on this F1 Pro OLED is absolutely amazing. It's the brightest screen I've ever used, and I think it is the brightest screen you can have currently on a handheld. The colors are really bright, really nice and sharp and very colorful. Maybe a bit too saturated, but that's what you get with an OLED panel. The viewing angles, as you can see, are really good. You will not have any problems with that. So the OLED display really stands out on this. The colors are amazing. It's really sharp and smooth. The refresh rate is 144 Hertz, and the response time is amazing on this. So I'm just gonna increase the brightness from minimum all the way to maximum so you can see how bright this screen really gets. I mean, look at that. The colors just pop. Now I've done a comparison with the ROG LIX, and this screen is just so much brighter at the maximum level. Some performance tests now. So the first game I have is the Black Myth Wukong at 15 watts. Low settings with frame gen on, and we get around 56 FPS average. Now we have the exact same game at 25 watts. So Black Myth Wukong with the same settings, and we get an average of 61 FPS. Now we have the same game at 30 watts, which is the max TDP, and we get diminishing returns here at only 62 average FPS with the exact same settings. For Indiana Jones, I'm currently running the game at 720p, low settings, and we get about 23-25 FPS at 15 watts. In this game, you really do want to use at least 20 to 25 watts. The performance isn't good at 15, so I've just increased the TDP to 25 watts. And as you can see, the performance is a little bit better. We're getting close to 45 FPS. And now I'm playing the game at the max 30 watts, and we are getting almost the same as we did at 25 watts. So I would suggest you to play this game at 25 watts, which is more than good enough. Now, one problem I have is that when you launch some games, because it has a native portrait display, you do have to mess around with the settings to make sure it runs correctly, because like you can see, the game wasn't running properly, but once you fix the settings, it runs okay. So now I have Oblivion Remastered at 15 watts, and we get about 30. Increasing the watts to 25, we get around 70 FPS, and this is really playable at this wattage. At 25 watts, you can comfortably play the game, and at 30 watts, you get slightly better performance, but again, diminishing returns, so I don't really recommend 30 watts. 25 watts is more than good enough. Now I'm just testing Portal here at 4 watts. This game at the minimum watts is not so bad, but if you jack up the TDP to 7, you get like over 120 FPS on average. At 10 watts, you're almost getting the full 144 FPS, which is the max refresh rate for this console. Resident Evil 4 at 15 watts is actually not so bad. I'm using the performance preset, the prioritized performance preset, and we're getting around 60 to 70 FPS, which is great. At 25 watts, we are getting slightly more in the 70s to 80s, which is absolutely amazing. I mean, this game on the Steam Deck really struggled to get even close to 50. And at the maximum 30 watts, we can get almost, well, even up to the 100s. We're getting over 100 FPS. Now the battery life at 4 watts, because it has a 48.5 watt hour battery, you just divide it by the total power used. So for 4 watts, you get 4 hours and 30 minutes. For 15 watts, you get an hour and 35. For 25 watts, you get an hour and 11 minutes. And at the max 30 watts, you get less than 1 hour. So anywhere from 4.5 hours to up to 1 hour is what you're going to get with this console. Now let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good thing about this is that it has an amazing OLED screen, top-notch performance, is quite comfortable to use, the cooling is really good, and it's got a nice selection of ports. The bad, the joysticks are like almost like Switch, and it does not have VRR, which in 2025, I mean, come on. And the ugly, the battery life on this is horrible. It's like the Lenovo Legion Go, which was one of the worst when it comes to battery life. Overall, I would give this an 8.5 out of 10. This is a very good handheld console, especially if you're looking for something quite portable and easy to carry. So yeah, thumbs up from me.